You are now listening to the Divorce Diaries podcast with your host. Well, that's a secret. No names, ages, or any other identifying characteristics will be used as we protect the young and innocent. You'll be taken on a journey as one man considers getting a divorce or remaining married. The Divorce Diaries daily entries chronicle the decision-making processes in real time as they unfold day by day. He hopes to add a bit of clarity to his sometimes muddled mess of a marriage. Cheating, overspending, sex, sadness, and betrayal are the characteristics of this marriage. Is he making the right choice? Welcome to the Divorce Diaries. Entire seasons are released on Patreon weeks before anywhere else at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Link below in description. Now for today's episode.
Welcome to Divorce Diaries. This one is going to be how to get comfortable with something. Hey, in order to get comfortable jumping in the deep end of a cold pond, I think the best thing you should probably do is jump into the fucking deep end of that cold pond. Think about it. It's Divorce Diaries. I have to learn, and I had to learn, to become comfortable without my wife by being without my wife. I am meeting people. I'm not seeking them out or anything like that. I am just open to meeting people. And she was my person, my only person. I decided to, which is not good for any marriage, I will say. Wanting, expecting, hoping, or looking for your spouse to be the only person that you deal with is going to be detrimental to you both. Because you're just going to add a little bit too much weight to them, and they literally won't be able to lift that weight some of the time. I have to have friends. And it's funny, I have built up a pretty decent network of people that I associate with. I have not gone as far as to call some of these people friends, but I will say for sure, some of them are. One guy, he's really good. We talk about everything from cars to money to relationships. And we've shared some deep, intimate things with each other. And he knows my divorce situation. He is a good sounding board for me to bounce the most horrible things and the good things off of. And he says to me, "You're fucked up. Should you make that choice? Would you be doing that if this wasn't happening?" He tends to challenge me. I love it. There's another friend that's going through something, and he tries his best to tell me things from his perspective. Now, to be fair to him, his perspective is pretty limited. His perspective isn't one that makes me feel good. And as far as the blue pill and red pill is concerned, he is a very, very blue-pilled individual. And that isn't helpful to me because I am a red pill aware man. I'm red pill aware, and it's frustrating because, as my other friend says, the one that I mentioned first, I'm enlightened and I'm ruined. That's what he says. I'm enlightened and I'm ruined because now accepting reality on reality's terms has significant consequences because it's that A word, that acceptance part. That acceptance piece. I accept my wife is a narcissist. I accept my wife is a person that I chose to marry, and she talks about me in slanderous and negative ways to my children behind my back. I accept that my wife leaves out the things that she does to contribute to any negative situation when speaking with others behind my back. These are truths and realities I needed to accept. These are the red pills that I needed to swallow. So after swallowing those, where do you go from there? It's in your system. You are now enlightened. I can very easily say, knowing and understanding who my wife really is, These are not mistakes that she can explain away. She literally does these things strategically. And me not being a strategic manipulator, I am just a run of the mill. This is a fucked up thing to say, but I am a run of the mill manipulator, which means I am probably selfish. I probably am looking to further my own interests in a way that hopefully doesn't hurt or harm others. I think and hope that's what we all do. When we drive past a police officer, let's say you're a person that doesn't buckle your seatbelt. If you drive, you see the cop ahead, you do the grab your seatbelt and kind of just pull it over your shoulder a little bit to give the perception that you ride with your seatbelt on. But also, if you hop in the car with one of your kids and they say, "Hey, Dad, put your seatbelt on," you'll put it on. You won't go as far as to fake out your kid like that and lie to them, give them a display of, yeah, it's on, and then argue with them or something like that, because you know deep down that the reason you don't wear your seatbelt is because you're lazy, or there's a habit that you have of not putting it on, and it's a hard habit to break, getting in your car, starting it up and driving. You're not really out there trying to die. But if you're the person that actually pretends to put on their seatbelt all the time, then that's some malignant manipulation. Like my wife sitting in therapy sessions or taking them over with my kid and trying to manipulate a therapist into being against me is a really tough thing. That sort of willful manipulation is dark. It involves a minor child. It involves a minor child in the relationship they have with their father that loves them. I'm not sure when, if, or how this will backfire on her, but it will. Because what I've learned in my days of manipulation, because I have been a manipulator, it took me a while to understand that I was, because I hid behind the guise of justification. Here's why I did it. Well, this is why I left this out. This is why I didn't say that. I felt that you were a kid and a kid shouldn't know those things. That's what I felt. Horrible, horrible things for me to do and say, but I didn't hold the line. I tried to justify, and then ultimately, later, I would think back to these things and I would say, oh shit. Just because you think you're righteous in why you lied, that doesn't make it right. So yes, I've been doing nothing but, what is not the Hippocratic oath. What is that damn oath in court? Promise, you swear on the Bible to tell the truth, nothing but the whole truth, so help you God? I do. That's what I do. Yes, I said that. That was fucked up that I said it. Here's why I said it, but that doesn't matter because I still lied. I'm sorry. That's me. That's who I am, and it's fucked me over because I didn't realize just how emotional I was at certain times, which is the mark of a very, very weak man. If you don't know who you are or where you want to go, you are going to then, as the leader of your family, you're going to drag people along paths that they don't want to or maybe need to go or be on. You are going to hurt more people than you help. You're going to confuse those, make them seek out other leaders, decide to not follow you. There'll be so many things that happen as a dad and father and husband, sorry. You may over-apologize, like I just did. I actually showed some of my communications to one of my friends, the good guy, that always says, I'm enlightened and I'm ruined. And he highlights, why are you apologizing in your communications to her? Speaking of my wife. You're apologizing to her after she cheated on you. You are making her feel like she was justified and right for what she's doing. She fucked another guy. Why are you apologizing? questions that I couldn't answer. He always gives me the harsh truth in a way that I can digest, but I'm open. I don't know. Why are you apologizing for the fact that she made financial choices that hurt her and your family? Why are you apologizing for her decisions? I don't know. I don't have answers to these questions. Why do I tend to tie myself to the train tracks of life and allow other people to just drive over me? Why do I do that? I had to really understand that and break that habit, break those molds. And in order for me to be comfortable being a better version of me, I had to get away from my wife. How do I get away from my wife? I have to get away from my wife. We're damn near in a no contact situation. This is probably the most amazing time of my life because I never thought I would be okay with not knowing my wife's location, not talking to her every day, not saying good morning, not inquiring about how her health journey is going. Now, I understand her as toxic, bad, negative, an overall net negative person for everyone whose life she's in. Everyone. I have not seen or found one person when I sum up everything, only because she's a very fun person. Very fun. But these negative things that are happening, I'm watching how they're affecting everyone. I'm like, wow, your connection to people is a net negative for them. And I'm noticing that from a narcissist. She's getting her narcissistic supply from so many different people. And it has to happen in the form of manipulation. And I'm just staying away from her. And every time things get worse, it's when I engage. So when I engage, I go to a little bit of a darker place. I may communicate some things that I maybe shouldn't to one or more of my kids. I don't really know. But the darkness definitely overtakes you. The darkness overtakes you and you start to participate in that darkness, which is really difficult because you don't feel it coming on. And all of the darkest things that I've done have been around something that had to do with my wife. Every ounce of darkness. I'm like, hey, man, remember that horrible, fucked up thing you did? I'm like, what was happening in my life? I'm not blaming her. All that shit's on me. But I look back, that day that you yelled at your kid, your son. Why did you yell at him? Well, I yelled at him because he was smoking weed behind our house. And he was smoking weed. He chose to smoke weed behind our house after I told him not to. And I said, the criteria for living in this house is no weed. You are a minor, no weed. Well, I yelled at him several times. I saw him on the security cameras behind the house. What are you doing? Why are you disobeying me? How could you? You don't respect authority. And I would go back and I would tell my wife this. What in the world? How could he? He's being the worst. If he doesn't respect authority, the police could get a hold of him and he'll have fury to pay, hell to pay in the form of their fury. They don't love him. We do. He's got to listen to us. I'm his dad. He's got to listen to me. Little did I know that the reason he was smoking behind the house was because my wife decided to go behind my back after the three of us came to an agreement that he would not indulge in smoke, that she would tell him, instead of walking around the neighborhood smoking, which was allowing him to do it still, knowing that I said he can't. Not he can't do it inside or outside. He cannot smoke. She told him, instead of walking around with your illegal contraband, just to do it behind our house. That way, you'll be safe. He'll be safe from the police, possibly, but he won't be safe from his father. He will be up Schitt's Creek with his father. And he, stand up, guy as he is, really, I'm going to call it what it is. He was just protecting himself and looking out for number one, but he didn't rat on his mother until much later. After about the third time of me chewing him out, he's like, hey, Dad, Mom is the one that told me to smoke behind the house. My heart broke. My heart broke because I knew that I should end my marriage in that moment, but I didn't want to accept it. I knew that my wife was a dirty, rotten liar for doing that. Dirty, dirty fucking liar. Even worse, she put him in the middle. She manipulated him and me against each other. We still are not speaking. And I believe that is one of the principal reasons, because I chewed him out. And it wasn't the first time. It wasn't the first situation. I'd always been saying things to him. Don't do this. Don't do that. I have no idea the amount of times or when my wife undermined me and went behind my back and did something. I have no idea. All I know is that she does it, she did it, and she's continuing to do it. So now, it's easy not being with my wife. It's easy. I mean, yeah, I don't know her location. And you know what? I don't want to know her location. I don't want to know the location of people that are out to hurt me. And I know that about her now. I accept it. Everything that she's done, I've never done these things. I have no plans of making her life bad. None. The only plan I have, which won't work out necessarily well for her, generally speaking, I will now be telling the truth moving forward. I will not say, I won't say that because I don't want the kids to know. I'm not going to volunteer any information, but I'm not going to hide anything because I don't. Here's my manipulation. Here's how I manipulate it. I don't want my kids to really know the type of person that their mom is, so I choose to abstain from talking about certain subjects. I don't want to talk about the amount of affairs your mother has had. One that I know of while we were married, and more than one before. Now, it's up to you. If you call those affairs, or if you call them cheating, it's up to you. But my wife has had a series of them. Now, I've not talked about them because I don't think that children should know, mom had another boyfriend when her and dad were very young, or dad had another girlfriend when they were young, and they broke up a few times and blah, blah, blah. I don't think, unless you're trying to tell this story to teach a lesson, and hopefully that lesson is, hey, people go through things, but we can all make it out, and you're telling it in the spirit of mending, educating, and love. But if you're telling the story like my wife has, I just want to let you know how shitty a person your dad is, then wow, you are slandering me to the children. You're not thinking about them and how they might be broken or break from what you do. You're not thinking about that. You're just thinking about yourself and that you want to look good at the expense of others. And since my wife now wants to move in this way where she doesn't care what she does at the expense of her children, at the expense of her husband or soon-to-be ex-husband, you're the type of person that may kick a puppy. You don't care about other people. An unfortunate thing happened. My middle child called me while I was getting some work done on some body art on myself, crying hysterically. I'm like, what's going on? What's happening? I had been texting two of my children to try to figure out what they wanted to get their mom and other family members for Christmas. I jokingly told them both, you're a broke kid. Don't you worry about anything. Just like in years past, let me know what you want to get for your family, extended family, and I'll make it happen. Of course, my sweetest, precious piece of cargo, my youngest, she wanted to get her mom an iPad. And by the time this recording goes public, she'll have it. Right now, it's December 19th, 2021, as I'm recording this. But this should go live, I don't know, somewhere in the middle of 2022. But my wife has an old iPad, and my daughter really wanted to get her one because she said she's having problems with it. So yeah, I just spent about $650 on my wife that I just finished telling you is not a good person at all. But what the fuck does that have to do with my daughter wanting to get her mom a gift that she thinks will be great for her? I want to help her do that. She's broke. I'm not going to tell her no. Maybe next year it might be a little different. Hey, sorry, I'm not willing to spend this amount of money on your mom. Or, hey, I just want to let you know I'm not willing to do that anymore because we're not married. But I'm not even going to do that there because I'm thinking about that now. It doesn't change the fact that my daughter, she's a broke kid and she just knows I would like to get this for mom. I'll talk to her maybe about cost. If something is like, hey, I would really like to get my mom this rare rose gold Rolex. I'm like, hey, whoa, that, my dear, is a bridge too far. But, maybe a pair of Ugg boots, maybe we can do that. How do you feel? I'll talk with her about it. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to make sure that they're good. But I can separate, and I will separate, and I'll continue to try to separate. I'll try not to let my disdain toward my wife. Well, rewind that. Not my disdain, because I don't have disdain. I just have acceptance. I don't care to know where you are. I don't want to or not want to know where you are. I don't care to know. I don't care to know if you're doing well. I don't care to know if you're doing poorly. I don't care to know if you are in a relationship. I don't care to know if you're not. If you are in a relationship, I don't care to know. Because now I've accepted you as the darkness. And I'm happy and motivated that I have the friends that I do. It's not the best situation. I'm not happy that I'm getting a divorce. And I will say plainly, I do not want to get a divorce. But having accepted the red pill, becoming enlightened and fucking ruined, I know that I need to get a divorce. I know that it's best for me to get a divorce. I know that when I'm on the other side of this, I will look back and say, I'm glad that I'm not a decrepit old man. I'm glad that I didn't wait much longer to do this. I'm glad that I was able to make the healthy call to get out of this. Should have done it much sooner, but you can't cry over spilled milk, right? And remember, the best way to get comfortable with something, get with it. The best way to get comfortable without something, remove it. I don't know what your addiction might be. Mine was the ideal of a family. If yours is alcoholism, just stop drinking. I'm not saying it as an easier said than done thing. I'm not saying it as a matter of anything but fact. If you should not be drinking, stop. It may take a lot. It may hurt. But I don't know how many times I do this gut thing when I think of my family and its status and it falling apart. And I feel it like it's like right in the middle of my gut. It's like the back part of my stomach. It's like at my spine. It's like, ugh. It hurts. It physically fucking hurts. My family is done for. It's over. My family is not coming back because actually this time I'm taking the control and I'm taking my family out to the woodshed like an old yeller. And I am grabbing the shotgun and I am putting my family down. It's just too toxic. It's too bad for everyone. And I'll pick up the pieces later. That old yeller, he's not coming back. He's not going to live. He gave us a good life. I did have some good experiences. It was great for a time. I changed, it changed, we changed, she changed. It got bad, we got bad, others got bad, and now we are a fragmented shell of anything we ever were, and it's like, how did this thing ever live? It's okay. It's a new day. If you want to get comfortable with something, do it. Do it.
Wow. That was the Divorce Diaries podcast. The Daily Saga will continue tomorrow. The full season's episodes are on Patreon now. Subscribe for early access. Click the Patreon link in the description. Hopefully, these entries help our anonymous recorder as a form of his own personal therapy. That's his hope and his intention. Will these recordings of life's curveballs lead this family to the best resolution in the end? We'll keep listening. New episodes are released daily on all podcast players, but all episodes are available on Patreon at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Until next time.